Galileo was a curious dude. Italian scientist, a rebel, a telescope-wielding nerd who made an amazing discovery.
Why socks disappear in the laundry?
No, that would come later.
Oh.
No, Galileo determined that the Earth was not the center of the universe, officially declaring something like,
"If the solar system was a bowl of spaghetti, we would be nothing but a meatball."
Well, that didn't sit too well with the Italian powers that be. So they tried and convicted Galileo of heresy and sentenced him to house arrest in perpetuity.
How long is that?
Forever.
Yeah, I thought it sounded long.
Now, the reason we bring all this up is because around here, we're a lot like Galileo. Minus the tights and pointy shoes. But we too are curious about life's little mysteries. And if you've always wondered about that kind of stuff, well, you're in the right place. So, to quote Galileo,
"Welcome to the podcast."
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Hey, I'm Rick Peterson. It's been said that the word in the English language that has the most synonyms is the word intoxicated. I don't know what that says about our society. Yeah, that's probably right. But think of all the ways you can say that someone has had too much to drink. In addition to drunk, there's bombed, smashed, juiced, pickled, wasted, plastered, crocked, stiff, stoned, ripped, soused, blotto, hammered, tanked, blitzed, stewed, loaded, gassed. Okay, well, you get the idea. But there's one phrase that's never made a ton of sense, and that's 3 sheets to the wind. I mean, what do sheets and wind have to do with being tipsy? Okay, maybe cool it with a bell, okay? Yeah, very funny. Anyway, if you've always wondered the origin of the phrase 3 sheets to the wind, let's uncork this question and see if we can't come up with an answer. For starters, these aren't bed sheets we're talking about. No one has ever measured drunkenness with a cotton thread count. Now, we need to think nautical. Sailors and alcohol have had a long relationship.
And a bottle of rum.
So a sheet is a rope that controls the trim of a sail. And if those sheets ever became loose, that ship is not gliding majestically across the sea. It's swerving, staggering, and probably yelling, lurching about like a drunken sailor. Hence, 3 sheets to the wind. The term is found in books and journals dating back to the early 1800s, so the phrase has been around a long time. In fact, it's been said that sailors have a sliding scale for drunkenness. 1 sheet to the wind, tipsy. 2, pretty drunk. And 3...
Kyle's arguing with the mailbox again about whose turn it is to pay for the tacos.
So the next time someone says they're 3 sheets to the wind, just smile and remember, they're not broken, they're just a sailboat adrift in a windstorm of bad decisions. And remember, if you have a phrase or saying that you've always wondered about, beverage-related or otherwise, let us know. We'd love to explore it in a future episode. But maybe just don't try to email us while you're sloshed, okay? Hey, come on, really? Again with the bell?
The Always Wondered podcast.
Okay, picture this. You're 5 years old, sitting in front of your TV, watching Mickey Mouse perform some amazing magic tricks despite being interrupted by Donald Duck. But good old Mickey prevails. He takes a bow and gives a wave. But wait a minute. How many fingers does this mouse have? 1, 2, 3, and a thumb. Oh, wait, something's not right. You stop sipping your juice box midstream. You change the channel. Fred Flintstone? 4 fingers. Homer Simpson? Yellow, but 4 fingers. SpongeBob SquarePants? Well, he seems to lose his limbs a lot, but when they grow back, 4 fingers. What is going on here? And ever since, you've always wondered, why is it most cartoon characters only have 4 fingers? Well, let's start with the obvious. Drawing 5 fingers is hard. Think about the early days of animation. Those artists were drawing characters again and again like caffeinated monks copying sacred texts. Only it wasn't the Bible they were copying. It was Goofy getting hit on the head by a safe. Let me do the math. 2 hands, 5 fingers, 24 frames per second, 10 minutes of animation. That's 60 times plus. That's really hard math. But trust me, it was a lot of fingers to draw. So who needs a high 5 when a high 4 will do the trick, right? Plus, Disney artists often said that 5 fingers looked way too bulky. which is basically animator code for
My hand is cramped up. I hate my life.
Also, there's a psychological principle at work here too. It's called the uncanny valley, and it basically means that the closer something gets to appearing human, but not quite, the more it creeps us out. Hey, I'm looking at you, Polar Express. So 4 fingers kind of hits the sweet spot. Of course, some people will argue that it's just tradition. Mickey Mouse did it, and everyone followed. But you know what else Mickey did? He wore white gloves with no explanation and pants with buttons but no shirt. So let's not pretend this mouse was ever the gold standard of logic, okay? So, whenever you're watching TV and you see those 4 little fingers waving at you, go ahead and smile. You're in on the secret now. That missing digit is not a mistake. It is cartoon magic.
That's all, folks.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
You can't listen to this podcast without ears.
What did he say?
I said, you can't listen without ears.
What are you yelling for?
Sorry about that. Anyway, ears are an amazing thing. But have you always wondered why we have earlobes? Let's face it, the earlobe is a little dangly hunk of flesh that's situated between our ear and our jawline. But what's its purpose? Well, some people think that the blood vessels contained in the earlobe help to keep the ear warm, but that's been proven not to be the case. And of course, back in school, it actually did serve as a nice little handle for the vice principal when he quick-walked an unruly student back to the office.
All right, wise guy, let's go.
But for all intents and purposes, it seems that the earlobe is completely useless.
You mean kind of like the appendix of the head?
Yeah, exactly. It could be that evolution, after carefully crafting hearts, brains, and opposable thumbs, simply said,
Oh, what the heck? Let's put a flappy part right here.
but in the end, the earlobe is prime real estate for jewelry, rebellion, and regrettable teenage decisions. Truth is, earlobe piercing dates back about 5,000 years. And be honest, no one's out there piercing their kneecaps, so that makes the earlobe the original body bling zone. So while it never may make it into a biology textbook as some life-saving organ, the earlobe does have an honored place in the Hall of Fame for body parts we never think about, but would definitely miss if they were gone.
What did he say?
I said, look, you just want to sit closer to me?
No, I don't want to sit on your knee.
I'm sorry.
The Always Wondered podcast.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you learned a little something, had some fun. Remember, new episodes drop every Friday. Click subscribe or follow to make sure you're notified every time a new one pops up. As always, we leave you with one to ponder. Have you always wondered why most pencils are yellow? Well, we'll sharpen up our number 2s and take a look at that one on a future episode. Until then, I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for listening.
The Always Wondered podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and a review. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. Feel free to offer suggestions for future topics or simply reach out to alwayswonderedpodcast@gmail.com.